Just tell me when. You introduce me and then I'll start.
All right, to start recording now. Remember, I'm gonna chop this up and break it up and edit it so we can talk about what we want. We can stop. All right. So I think the good introduction is you. When you should say, "Welcome to the Edge." Please subscribe and please comment, and I will comment back. I will talk back. Well, you know what I mean? Do something like that. Like, hey,
I will respond back to you. Right.
yeah, okay, yeah. Give them that. But remember, welcome to the Edge, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for whatever. Please subscribe. Remember, if I made you feel some type of way, comment. I will comment back. It'll be me too. It won't be no robot. It won't be no fake person.
Well, let me try it the way I'll do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Edge. Oh, you remember that little show called The Edge when we were on Facebook with 100,000 views and so forth? That little show. Well, now we're doing advertising on YouTube, but we do want you to subscribe because if we're going to be on YouTube and you're going to interact with us and you're going to kick us, or we're going to kick you, let's kick back and let's do the thing. People wonder about things like that have been going on in the last couple of years. Besides the elections, besides the politics, the politics of sex trafficking and the major surprise death of Jeffrey Epstein. Remember that guy? They found him dead. He was in his cell, controlled by the federal government, federal marshals. The prison he was in is controlled by federal marshals. That is noted for being the most corrupt prison system that's in the United States today, badly run. And as a consequence of that question as to how they run things, the demonstration was that he was there under special concerns because he is going to reveal things about a lot of important people. And so some people decided that, well, he has to die or he has to disappear. And so they find him in his cell with the phone and the cameras shut off or cut off, and he's dead. Or a body double is there. Maybe not. But what's he really about? Sex trafficking? Yeah. Who did he sell the girls to? Mostly girls, between 11 and 15. Sold them to Saudi Arabia. The movie Taken demonstrates that. It's a pretty good little movie. I'm trying to the actor that played the father, and then his daughter got caught up and kidnapped in Paris. And next thing you know, they discovered she's on video being sold to Saudi Arabian potentates from Saudi Arabia, Sunni Muslim characters buy these girls all the time. They have billions of dollars, and they use them as like you would buy cattle. They turn them around, they show them naked or however you want to buy them, but they're for sale. And Jeffrey Epstein flew his plane from St. Kitts, an island off the United States in the Caribbean area, and he would take them to Saudi, and he had parties on the way. So these girls told in the parties, and some of them would come back, but they would take 100 at a time, and they were there to service wealthy people. There's a painting of Bill Clinton that Epstein has owned. It came up in all of the background stuff. Shows him wearing or covered with a blue dress from Monica Lewinsky, I suppose, with the stains on it from perhaps something called male products that happen in sex on the dress. I think Linda, somebody or other, was the one who told Monica to hold on to that dress. So Epstein got a hold of this painting by this artist, shows Clinton in this compromised painting. Well, on the parties, in the videos, pretty well known that Clinton, Trump, a whole raft of well-known people, oligarchs as well, such as somebody, I think one of the head people in Israel was in some of these videos. And the story on Epstein, this particular situation where you have wealthy people trafficking, sex trafficking, they're not the only ones that do this, but they're the ones who get caught up in it in a pretty intensive way. It's something better to do than talking to the wife over coffee. Robert Kraft, the owner of the the New Patriots, was caught. And the funny story about Robert Kraft was they'd hired Antonio Brown to come to the Patriots because Brady wanted him as a receiver. And this is a year ago before Brady came to the Buccaneers. And anyway, so Antonio Brown was getting stuff about his girlfriends and how he was treating them from some of the players. And so he made the comment to the players, well, if you think I'm bad, your owner is getting caught 2 or 3 times in massage parlors. And massage parlors are notably dumping places for trafficked girls. They shave their eyebrows, they bleach their hair, they lose their identity between the age of 11 and 15. They do massages for people. They estimate that 9,000 massage parlors in the United States are illegal and nothing more than dumping places for girls. This is sex trafficking, and one of the agencies that handles girls, where you put them all and where you send them. And they send them to parties for sex and all the rest. So what did Epstein do basically is he took films of his party and he turned the films around to the people and said, here's copies. We've got more copies of you. Here's your copy. Have a look at this. Give it to your wife. If she likes this sort of thing, you're having sex with a 15-year-old girl. Oh, well. He did this at a, and so Epstein negotiated because he had all these films to get like the island of St. Kitts. He got a major mansion in New York, all these things without ever doing any investment service, but charged him for investing advice. This is one for wealthy men, but sex trafficking is done throughout the United States otherwise as well. Ordinary people make use of people that way. And we have this in our country. There is a way to get around it and make it a difficult thing to happen for people. Called the John's Law. You want to make it difficult for people to use young girls underage, you can simply say, well, if you contract with money to use a young girl underage, you're liable. No, you're no different than the pimp. You go to jail too. But where did all this sex problem come from? The Christians. Coming back to that. When Christ came along, he was there under the influence of the Romans, who were arch believers in the Greeks. And Dionysius, who's a great god, who said that sex was a good thing, a healthy thing. And the Greeks did the first great sculptures in the Western world of men, Aphrodite, women, all the beautiful people in stone. And of course, Michelangelo did the David, showing the David figure, which is the little David guy that stood up against the great Samson and other people, and held his own. And if you ever saw the David, it's a beautiful sculpture, but it's a copy from Greek sculptures. So the Romans copied the Greeks in every possible way. So when the Romans adopted Christianity in 325 AD, after the death of Christ, had a belief in the Greek and the Christian idea. Well, the Christians believe in forgiveness, and the other religion, the Jewish religion, which is where Christ was born into, basically was about or else. Thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that, or else this, or else that. Women are to be treated as less than a man in every way. And Muhammad did the same thing with Islam. So here you have Christ doing forgiveness, and his Sermon on the Mount is all about forgiveness. I'm your brother, our Father who art in heaven. I'm your brother. So I'm wandering a little bit, but how does sex trafficking come into all this? Guilt. Through guilt. Christianity teaches guilt. What's a sin? If you have lust in your heart, you've committed the sin. They teach Christians. It's a way to control people. Separate men from women. Pro-life. What is pro-life? Telling men, if you get a woman pregnant, you're committing murder if they let the woman have an abortion. For all men are all about guilt. Not about caring about people long term. It's a false Christianity that's come up in the last 150, 200 years on that score. But all this while, the chief purveyors of Christianity in the Western Rite is called the Roman versus the Eastern Orthodox, which is Greek. They started in the 12th century. Priests couldn't be married priests. They perverted Christian teachers, ministers themselves, with changing their nature from a family minister to a minister who became homosexual or became a pedophile, because it's encouraged in the Roman Catholic Church. And so you have pedophiles in the Roman Church. We have sex trafficking in the Roman Church involved in that, because that's shown up in Mexico City back a few years back, and the abbot in a boys' school in Mexico City, Salam Solaris, he was an abbot there. He was delivering money to Pope John Paul II for sex trafficking to his boys' school. So you have all of this stuff, all in the name of Christianity, that we know better and we do it better, and etc. And now they're in a mess up to their eyeballs. Pedophilia, a church that's rotting from within in the eyes of everybody. Evangelicals are not in that problem because they believe in marriage of priests and ministers. Same thing's true of Lutheranism and Episcopal and so forth. But the Catholic Church has particularly screwed up their whole religious idea. But brotherhood is the keystone of Christianity, and sex trafficking is the selling of people, because people have this interest in using children for sex. And because of that, it gives people power, and it takes power away from people at the same time. It's because of religions that make it, it's, for example, if you get caught with child porn in the United States, you get charged with sexual trafficking yourself. You go to jail for that. If you have sex with the next door neighbor and he's underage or she's underage, you go to jail for that. There's a lot of things in the United States that seemingly protecting, but they're really at the same time encouraging and exploiting the whole thing. And it's a confusing thing, except that we have a major problem in this country with poverty increasing, with people out of work, with the pandemic and all of that. It's going to only get worse. Poverty will make more sex trafficking happen, but the Dionysian idea would take away from a lot of that, and which is saying that having sex with children is normal at certain times of the year, like Mardi Gras, like some other things that are in at the time. That is, and so Christianity made all of that evil and all of that forbidden and all of that criminal. Now we're into that culture. We're inescapably tied to that culture, whatever the Greeks said before or not. The Christian ethic, and the Christian ethic says it's to be banned, forbidden, and so forth. So how do you bring sex into a normal state? That's the question. How does it become other than perverted? Well, that is why sex trafficking it does so well, because children are pure, innocent, and to some people's mind, when they have sex with a child, grateful for having the sex. Ridiculous, but that is not the nonsense. Priests have sex with little boys, and in the case of the Islam, it's a routine there as well. So anyway, you've got this whole sexual aura thing tied to guilt, or you got the girl pregnant, she's underage, you're going to go to jail, or you marry her. I mean, all these things culturally through religion. And then you have religion, you find out the priest you were trusting behind the pulpit has been screwing 5 little boys who are around the altar, and he's going to go to jail, and he's no longer your pastor. You have a really, but sex is it, and sex trafficking is a subject that people have strong beliefs in. But does the religion really save you from that? Is the question. or does it make it worse by making you feel guilty? What happens, if two little children having sex, and one is 10 and one is 12, and it's a boy and a girl, we'll go nuts over that. But it's not so uncommon. It's when the father has sex with the daughter, or the father has sex with the son, or the mother has sex with the son. All these things conjure up big problems. What do you do when those things happen? Or, for example, I was reading a paper one time in the Chicago Tribune. This person who was a social worker in Chicago had this girl who was 10 years old who was pregnant by her grandfather. And it so happened that her mother had her, and she was impregnated by her grandfather also. And so this social worker was saying, I have hundreds, and these are white people, these are not black. In fact, black people tend not to be this way more so. They're not involved that way. More white people are doing this. Poor white people are doing this a lot. And so it's a, when you realize how widespread it is, but when you don't have a social fabric that is something that holds the society together, that's missing. These people are abandoned to their own plight, their own misery. And when the society tries to solve its problem by shoving everybody into jail instead of social help and institutions and places where they get some kind of understanding and some kind of concern about their mental condition or what's happened to them, other than jail as a punishment or as a place of holding, then you've got a society that's in big, big trouble. And we have that right now. We really do. The politics of economics, what happens to society as a whole, are just going to be difficult down the road. But we can talk about that as well sometime. We can talk about the history of politics and what that does to all these other issues. So I want to talk to you down the road, and you please call in or contact us, and we'll respond back. I promise you. And subscribe to the Edge if you're so inclined. I've wandered a little bit about sex trafficking from a very high end, from oligarchs, rich people having it, politicians who are wealthy having it, the Epstein situation, only because those are kind of illustrations of the money issue, and the Saudi Arabians being the big beneficiaries of buying children from the United States. They want them white for the most part. They don't want them mixed color. They don't want them Puerto Rican. They don't want them brown. They don't want them anything. They want them white. Redheads, especially, is Irish girls, Irish boys. So anyway, mostly girls. But please tune in and don't tune out, and tell us what you think. I want to thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for this conversation, Augie.
It's conversation. That's the point. And people will say he's wandering. What's he really saying? It's an issue. That's all it is. It's what you talk about. It's what people wonder about. Answers. They want answers. We can go there too. How do you? John's law is what I should have brought up. I didn't bring up the John's law. How do you?
Bring it up. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But
here's the thing. Yeah, an addendum to the show is a John's law. What is a John's law?
What is John's law?
Okay. A John is someone who buys the use of a child for sex, or anyone for that matter. A pimp is someone who sells to a John. So Joe Blow is the John. He wants the sex. They hit him up on the street. I've got sex for you. I've got a young girl for you. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the money I need. Here's a picture of her on video. You want to have sex with her? It's going to cost you whatever. And the John says, yeah, sure. So it's going to cost, I want the money. So through the John's law, you charge him with the reduction of sentence for his criminality with revealing who the Johns are. And they share in the same punishment that the pimp does. So it becomes a way to force the pimp into revealing who the Johns are, which would be very interesting what the effect of that would be. And police would use that, and it would be a nightmare for a lot of people, but it would put a big dent in the trafficking in this country. And people picking up little girls to have sex with would want to go out of the country to do that. That would need money to go out of the country to do that. Don't want to be caught up in that situation. So it's I mean, statutory rape is for children underage. Statutory rape is a minimum of 6 years in prison. Pornography, child pornography, is also about that number. So it's a heavy, heavy number. The United States is not very tolerant for that sort of thing. And they over sentence people. A year, 2 years might be enough. Because in Europe, you get a crime of murder involved. The most you'll spend is maybe 8 years. In the United States, we slam them in the jail for the longest time, ridiculous amounts of time. People long get the idea they don't want to be in jail. They want to be get away from that and live a different life. But we are not very kind that way. That kind of speaks to it, doesn't it?
Yep.
So that's a good little add-on.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody, man. Thanks for watching me and Augie's conversation.
Well, thank you for watching, Alex.
All right, Augi At The Edge. Here it is again. Tuned out.
All right. There you go. That's the show for the night, right? You can probably break that up if you want.